Easiest way to do this for those of you guys online is just if you'll drop your name and where you work in the chat. We do have it pulled up in the room. Miss Jessica could let us know if anybody's saying anything this whole meeting. But if you will put your name in the chat, and then we'll just go around here in the room for those of us that have joined in person and introduce ourselves. So you get the Jessica, I'll let you go first.
Jessica Calvert with South Central Workforce Development Board.
Bill Sandell with the Office of Employer Apprenticeship Services.
Brett Faust, Veterans Upward Bound.
Teresa Stokes, Job Corps.
And Mark Hamilton, Veterans Upward Bound.
And you guys will need the mic before you introduce yourselves. Yeah.
Okay. Ana San Cristobal, New American Workforce Navigator for South Central Workforce Development Board.
Frank Garavado, one-stop operator at the Career Center.
Shannon Gotke, career team.
Matt Bacon, career team.
Okay, and we're starting to see all of the folks that have joined online. Jessica, why don't you read off who's there? We see most people's faces. It's awesome when you guys turn your cameras on. That helps us in the room.
Got Josh Cuddy, Literacy Center, Nikki from Sky CTC Adult Recruiter, Shanna from Audubon, Bianca from Career Team, Adam from International Center, Paula from OBR, and Roxana from OBR, and Amy from Butler County, Laura, Reach Specialist, and Pamela from Senior Community Service Employment Program.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. And I'm Brian with the Workforce Development Board, and we also have Doronda. I think she's on a call, but the gatekeeper to letting everybody in our Zoom, our top secret Zoom meetings. Okay. Well, we're glad to have everybody. We just usually start the format of the meeting after we introduce ourselves by saying, share the news, share the updates, anything you want to blast out. And I'll say the same thing I say every month, that Frank Garavado is our one-stop operator, can definitely take your information and blast it out. He's already been up to some of his antics this morning, blasting out information that he just received yesterday. So he does not sit on it if you send it to him. So if you do have something that needs to go out, how many folks are on that list now? What's the number? So only 123 people that Frank knows that get those emails. Now, whether you check it and read it, that's up to you, but we try to keep it simple where it comes from Frank if you want to know what's going on. And then, of course, our social media channels at the Workforce Board are another great way to see some of those things. But a lot of times we don't post flyers, we don't post that type of information on our social media. So anybody have anything? I'll start with those of you guys that have joined online and by Zoom. Anybody want to unmute and share an announcement or an event or something you want to brag about?
Brian, can you hear me? It's Amy.
Yes.
I wanted to give a shout out to our Pudding Kentuckians first meeting we had on Tuesday. We had a packed house. Everyone did such a good job helping so many people in Butler County, and it went great. And I can't wait to see what goes on for next month on that first Tuesday. So it's just nice to help people and to see that people appreciate it.
What? I'll sort of hand this to you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
I would just like to tell everybody, hello, first of all, I'm the new executive director at the Simpson County Literacy Center. So it's nice to meet you guys. We have a computer literacy class for adults that is a 10-week course. It is starting this coming Monday. We do ask that people pre-register because the slots are pretty limited and they are filling up. So if you know anybody who needs basic computer literacy, they can find that information on our website, scliteracy.org, or they can follow us on Facebook. It's on there. Or you can email me, Josh at scliteracycenter.org, and I can get you that flyer or the digital assets or whatever they might need. So that's our most recent upcoming class. And then we have our ESL classes on Tuesdays as well.
Okay. Yeah, we're glad to have you. This is your first meeting, right? You didn't join last month or you
It
weren't working
is, yeah.
last
No, I
month?
wasn't even working last month. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm about, I think, 2.5 weeks in, maybe.
Awesome. Are you on Frank's email list? Did you get his email this morning?
I did, yeah. Yeah, just.
Okay, great. I would just encourage you to drop that info in the chat, so everybody can see that, and we do record these meetings, so anything about that class that you mentioned, the computer class.
Hey, Brian, this is Matt. We've got several events coming up as well. We've March 13th is our next one, and it's at 3 campuses at Sky. So it's going to be on the Katy campus, the Trans Park campus, and the main campus. That'll be an event that Bianca's been working on with Sharita over at Sky CTC and the Career Services Center. We will be joining in on the chamber one. So if you know any, well, I guess first off, if you know any Sky students, tell them we'll be around March 13th. For any high school students, seniors that are graduating, if you know any of those, we will be joining in with the chamber to do the STK launch senior hiring event, which is going to be May the 3rd. I believe, yep, May the 3rd. And this year it's at Warren East. In their auxiliary gym. That's usually a pretty big event that we work on for several months. We're starting to work on it now with visiting the schools. And then following that one, right up behind it is May the 7th, and that one's going to be a regional hiring event. The morning session is going to be for those graduating high school seniors throughout the region. And during the afternoon session, it'll be open to the public. That'll be May the 7th at the Cave Area Convention Center. And we're trying to add all the employers now. So if you are an employer or know of employers that may be interested in hiring for that, or anybody who may be looking for a job, May the 7th, Cave Area Convention Center. We'll be there all day until about 5 o'clock.
I did want to mention that we also have our Logan County Talent Tuesday on March 12th at the Logan County Library from 10 to 2 p.m.
Yeah, I have a screen for that, I think, coming up next, Bianca. So I'm just putting in the chat what Matt said. If you know employers in the region, and I would say we're not like, so what he said with the SCK launch one, that's mostly targeting Warren County students. In fact, I think it's exclusively Warren County. There's not another school district participating besides Bowling Green and Warren County schools, right? I don't see any on that list.
Usually it's Butler. And
Yeah.
Johnson, but I'll have to go back and look.
Okay. So the Bowling Green Chamber is organizing the SCK launch one, but we are specifically soliciting applications for employers for the regional one, which is very much based on the SCK launch one. So what we often have happen, and you guys know a lot of times how these job fairs work, like they're fresh out of high school, they may never have worked full-time before, they may not have worked at all. We need employers that understand that. So that's why we're saying it's an application that they've got to apply and make some agreements for things. So, but it's never been done on that kind of a scale before that we know of, unless anybody's been around long enough that remembers how big regional job fairs happen. But there's often regional high school competitions and things that might be like, academic or, athletic things, but a hiring event just for the seniors getting ready to be unleashed into society. This is the opportunity to catch them and keep them here. So if you know any employers or you're thinking of it, like we've got the application open, but I would say reach out to Matt, even Leslie, any of us, even Frank. I mean, we can get that to them. Probably keep it open all month long, I would imagine, probably even into April. So. Okay, and then Bianca, what you just mentioned, the Talent Tuesday event, March 12th. Happening at Logan County's public library. So if you know any folks or any of you guys serve any Logan County residents, you can get them aimed towards that. Bianca, did you list who the companies are that are gonna be there yet?
I have not listed them just yet. So far, we have about 5 companies that have been confirmed. If you give me a second, I can read off of those companies.
Okay.
As of right now, we have Acme, Sumitomo, Kentucky LECET, Russellville Castings, and Heidelberg Materials.
Yeah,
Yes.
Aaron, I just got off the phone with Aaron.
Okay.
Exactly how many students are we needing to get tape test? I need a number.
Okay. If you give me a minute, I will put that together, but it's a bunch. Because all
I
this,
need to know. Yes.
okay.
So I can do some things to make it happen, okay?
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay.
Any other announcements? You wanna, Mr. Foster, you wanna talk about this one?
Hey, how are you doing?
Oh,
That's okay. I just talked to Kim. She was asking for numbers, so I'm gonna get that for her.
look. No, but this is there's a veteran empowerment team, Debbie
I
Hardwood.
appreciate that. That's awesome.
They're doing this and it's a resource fair. It's gonna be at the National Guard Armory at 920 Morgantown Road. It's gonna be on the 16th of March from 10 to 2. And it's to help the veterans. So this is resource fair. So right now they are getting a lot of folks involved, a lot of people participating will be there. And so it's a great opportunity to help veterans and some who may need some resources. And so, you know, it's a great opportunity to help there. Also, and we've linked up with Butler County Resource Fair. And in Butler County on Friday, March 22nd from 10 to 2 at the Adult Educational Complex, it's a resource fair. And it's also, but this is open for everybody who may need a resource. There's, you know, that will be there. There's job assistance, the Owl Academy will be there. There's a lot that's going to be there for food assistance, healthcare, Lunchbox Express, actually funeral planning and living will writing, mental health therapy. Those things will be available for people in need. And it's like I said, March the 22nd. These are some great opportunities for some resources to get connected to help people be all they can be.
There you go. Well said. Yep. So that should be in everybody's inbox.
Well, I want to follow up with that with helping people be all they can be. That was a great segue into the program that we here at South Central Development Board. We've been given a grant to assist folks that are already working, and those folks need to have refugee status. And by the parameters of our grant is for those folks that have been in the United States less than 5 years. And what that grant is empowering us to do is to assist those folks to enhance their English language skills. And so we need employers that are willing to give a bit of their time to their employees to learn additional English skills. Please talk to me about that. I will be your concierge. So I am going to be able to assist you with those logistics. So if you had thought about maybe implementing a program like this at your place of employment and have just not done it just because of lack of resources, or you just don't know where to go, that's where I come in. This grant has given me the opportunity to be able to help the employers in that way by searching for the folks that would be presenting the class, you know, the logistics, the times, the place, you know, even going out on site to speak to employees and giving them a breakdown of what the program is about, garnering that attention and that interest in the program. And so I will be working closely with the employer in order to also discuss what you would like to be addressed at these at the English classes. So again, I would be that in-between person, that glue that holds this program for the employee and the employer. So our goal is to give the refugee folks an opportunity to be able to apply for those next level positions, so that if they started at the entry level, we want to empower these folks to be able to move up and be an asset to the company. They already have the bilingual skills. So now you're going to be able to give them that opportunity to move up and assist you with other folks coming in. And the great thing about the program is that we're going to give you the blueprint to be able to use this with other refugees that you employ. I know we say that they're untapped talent, but they're not going to be untapped for long because they're going to get into the workforce. You know, whether it's at your employer or someone else's, but we need to work. We need to pay bills. We need to, make a living, and so we're going to get into the workforce. So, what better way to show our refugee population that we're invested in them and we want them to move up? And that is what the REAP program is about. And I am here to assist the employer with those logistics. You can reach me at laura@southcentral.com, send me an email or give me a call. And if anyone has any additional questions or wants to set up an appointment, you can put that in the chat and I'll put it in my calendar as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. Okay, I did have a screen for what Matt was talking about. Matt, I also put a call to action for volunteers. So here's the thing, like it's going to take a village to make this thing happen. I mean, we are doing, I think Matt might have mentioned it, but like, it's not just getting companies with tables. Like we're going to have interviews going on. So we want every student to have at least 2 interviews. That's how the SCK launch event happens. So again, if you're like, hey, that sounds cool, be there, or let me talk to my boss and see, we'd love to have you on site to be involved and help, shuttle students around. And sometimes this stuff happens kind of fast. I got to see it for myself more in detail last year, but if students don't show up that we're supposed to be there, we got empty interview slots. We can try to get kids other interviews with other companies potentially. So it's just a lot of in and out, getting buses unloaded and all of that. So we would love to have volunteers. It'll be a really cool event. So again, May 7th, but reach out to us well ahead of that if you want to volunteer, or somebody else in your organization you'd like to send. Maybe you're the boss and you tell them they need to be there. So we'd love that too. Okay, so transition. If anybody have anything else, I don't want to cut anybody else that's been patient and waiting for others to talk first, but otherwise we'll move into our topic and our presenter here.
Hi, thanks.
Okay, Ms. Teresa, let us know who you are and what you do and what you're here to talk about.
All right, let me get the screen shared.
Yes.
There we go. Okay. All right, my name's Teresa Stokes, and I am the local admissions counselor for Job Corps. I've been doing this since October, but just now I had a chance to kind of get my feet on the ground and run in and have an opportunity to talk to you all. I wanted to take a minute today to share with you about what Job Corps is and who might be eligible for Job Corps and what Job Corps can do for them. For those of you in the room, I do have some flyers available. You can pick up each one of them as you leave. For those of you online, I'm going to use Frank's email list, and I will send out a copy of all of these information flyers electronically. Job Corps was created all the way back in 1964, so it's been around. It's had some different images. People have different mindsets about it, but right now the mindset is we're just trying to help 16 to 24-year-olds get those training skills that they need, those career skills that they need to be able to move into successful employment, to move themselves forward. And if they happen to not yet have their high school education yet, we can help them complete that while they're there, either through a high school diploma program or a GED program, depending on how old they are and which Job Corps center they go to. Different ones provide it through a different format. The eligibility requirements for Job Corps. Well, let me talk about this first. We actually have 120 campuses across the U.S. There are 10 different in-demand industries that we do specific training in, but we have over 100 different areas where they can receive training or certifications in. Not every Job Corps site has every program, so we kind of look first at the Job Corps that is closest to where they live. Then we would look at the career trade they want, and we try to get them as close to home as possible if that's what they want in the career trade that they want. Then as far as those that are eligible, we work with 16 to 24-year-olds. We can go a little bit higher than that if an individual is disabled and a little older than 24. We can potentially work with them depending on their needs to make sure that we can appropriately, provide for them. The best thing about Job Corps is if they meet the qualifying eligibility factors, then Job Corps is free. Okay, so that means that they are going to get their housing, their meals, their basic medical care, all free. Their training is free, their school supplies and training materials are free. They even get a living allowance every 2 weeks to spend on snacks and incidentals for the stuff that they may want that isn't already provided for free. So this is a way that, high school graduates or those that haven't even finished their high school diploma yet and still need to get that can get hands-on quality career training and not take on a big load of student loans. I mean, not everybody's cut out for college. Not everybody manages to get all the financial aid and scholarships, but they should still have a fair chance at getting a career and, being trained appropriately for that career. So that's where Job Corps steps in. They can actually, with some of our campuses, work some while they are in the Job Corps program, and all that money that they earn, they can save up, just stash away in a savings account and save up so that when they graduate, they've got a deposit on an apartment and utilities or a down payment on a vehicle or whatever. I mean, I know a girl that has getting ready to graduate from our Great Onyx Job Corps in Mammoth Cave, Kentucky, that has like $4,000 in savings. And already has a job lined up with the U.S. Department of Forestry to go into as soon as she graduates. So I mentioned the U.S. Department of Forestry. Let me elaborate a little bit on that. We actually have 2 different types of Job Corps programs. We have our standard Job Corps centers that are strictly run by the U.S. Department of Labor. And then we have our civilian conservation Job Corps centers. The civilian conservation Job Corps centers are actually run by not only the Department of Labor, but also the U.S. Department of Forestry Services. And most of those civilian conservation centers are located on U.S. government forestry property or government parks. Like, for example, the Great Onyx one is actually on Mammoth Cave National Park. And a lot of those will also have trades that they can't get training in elsewhere, like wildland firefighting, forestry, things like that, that they may not be able to get training at other places. But our civilian conservation Job Corps centers also have other types of training, such as IT, culinary, construction, welding, all those types of things. So it's not just limited to forestry careers. It just happens to be the forestry department runs those centers, and it's on, U.S. Forestry Department property. And that is one of the differences between the two. I mentioned they would have the opportunity to work. The ones that attend the civilian conservation Job Corps centers have the opportunity to work on 2 different teams. They can either work on a camp team or a fire team. And what these 2 teams do is they actually support the U.S. Forestry Department while they are either responding to natural disasters or fighting wildfires throughout the United States. So this is actually an opportunity for them to volunteer to work, to travel somewhere in the United States for 1 to 2 weeks at a time, all paid expenses. And they're going to support the forestry department, like I said, while they're responding to natural disasters or fires. The camp team runs the camp where all the people, doing these duties would stay. They would make sure their supplies were provided to them, meals provided to them, all of that. They're gaining U.S. forestry job experience while they're there, which is a good thing to get you a foot in the door to work for the U.S. Forestry Department. They get paid for that. And once again, they don't have to spend that money because everything's provided for them, so they can sock it away in a savings account. Or if they want to do more of the hands-on dealing with the disaster and the firefighting, they can actually join the fire team where they actually go out with the firefighters and fight the forest fires, or, you know, put the brake lines, or help clean up and, you know, remove, you know, trees or whatever from natural disasters and those types of things. Once again, they're paid for those services. They get to travel somewhere in the United States, you know, for 1 to 2 weeks. They're getting on the job experience again. And for example, the one that I told you that was getting ready to graduate from Great Onyx, you know, she's got money socked away in savings. She's actually in the computer tech program, but she served on the camp team, earned money, saved that up. And then with her computer skills, she's getting a position with the U.S. Forestry Department using her computer skills. So you don't have to be going into forestry per se to work for the U.S. Forestry Department. They have parks that have kitchens in their hotels that need culinary. So, you know, just because you hear the Civilian Conservation Corps and Forestry Department, don't let that, you know, skew their image and block their way. It's just another way to, you know, get them a foot in the door. As far as eligibility requirements for individuals, as I mentioned, they do have to be 16 to 24 years old. They need to be a U.S. citizen or a legal resident allowed to work in the United States. So if they got their green card, you know, we're going to obviously have to see that documentation, but you know, we can work with them on getting the appropriate documentation to verify for us their status. So if they are 16 to 24 and they are a U.S. citizen or legal resident, then we look at their income. Students do have to be classified in a low income scale to be eligible to qualify for Job Corps. But there are many ways they can do that. We don't necessarily just look at the family's income. So if they receive SNAP, Medicaid, KTAP, Social Security, Disability, SSI, free or reduced lunch at school, they're a foster child, or they are a victim of human trafficking. All of those things would be an automatic, you meet the low income standards, and we don't even have to look at your household's income. Now, if you don't receive any of those things or qualify under any of those categories, then we would have to verify the household's income and compare it to an income scale to make sure that they are eligible. So once we've got past that point, then we're looking at seeing if the student is interested and willing to get their education and learn a career and move forward. You know, sometimes it may be mom and dad pushing them into it. And if they're really not interested and really don't want to go for this, they may go through the motions of getting in, but then they get on campus and turn 18 and they're like, nope, I'm not going to do this. And then they don't finish. So that's why we have really good conversations with them before we approve the admissions to make sure that, you know, they're not wasting their time, they're not wasting their parents' time, you know, and that they really want to do this because it's a great opportunity, but we do have limited space. We can only take so many students at a time. So we want to make sure that we get the students in that really want to be there. Time frames. I mentioned time. Time frame for somebody to apply, the application process can take anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. It just depends. A lot depends on two things. One, we do have to do a criminal background check, and I'll talk to you in just a moment about what that involves. And then two, we do have to obtain some documentation, like we need their social security card, birth certificate, or green card, or ID, their transcripts, you know, some verification of income, some things like that. And so it depends on how long it takes them to get that information back to us and us to process that. It goes through kind of 3 levels of evaluation. Us as admissions counselors will make sure that they meet the basic eligibility requirements and kind of do an evaluation of it, make sure we got all the I's dotted and T's crossed. Then we have a quality control department that reviews that to make sure, yeah, we're still meeting all the guidelines and yeah, this looks like a good potential approval for an applicant. And then we send it to the specific center, the specific Job Corps center that they're wanting to go to that has the training that they want. And so it kind of goes through 3 levels of approval. that can take about a month. So if you look at, 3 to 4 weeks to get all the papers and documents and background checks, and then 3 to 4 weeks for it to go through the 3 levels of approval. I think the quickest I've seen one get in is 3 weeks. I've had a couple of take 2 months or a little longer to get in, but that was because they were dragging their feet, so the average is going to be around 4 to 6 weeks to get in. We do have rolling entry and rolling graduation, and the education and training goes at the student's learning pace. So we want to make sure the student learns it the best they can. So if you've got somebody that comes into Job Corps and they already have their high school diploma and they're a quick learner, they've already worked on cars some, and they're going into the auto repair to get that pre-apprentice certification. They may pick up things real quickly and manage to achieve their certification in 6 months. But you may have a student come in that's interested in forestry and firefighting that, has never done that before. And that maybe they had to drop out of school because of family reasons or, whatever those reasons may be. And so they don't have their high school diploma yet. So they're going to be doing 2 things. They're going to be working on finishing their high school education, and they're going to be working on learning their trade at the same time. Depending on how quickly they learn and absorb that information, that may take them a little longer. Students are allowed up to 2 years to finish a program. So they can, do it for 2 years for free. We try to get them, I guess I'm talking too loud.
No. There's a bunch of kids outside.
Okay.
Having, like, class photos, so you can't see it, but like, that's what,
Sorry
there's a
about
bunch of
that.
movement.
I know
and-
I can tend to talk
and
loud. I
noise.
get excited about talking
Yeah.
about this.
You're doing a wonderful job.
Yeah.
Thank you. So let's see, where was I? Oh, the time frame. So, they can take up to 2 years to finish their initial certification program, and everything is still free. Now, the great part is some of our programs actually have an initial certification and then an advanced certification. The advanced certifications are going to help them get into a little bit higher paying job when they first come out. If they receive an initial certification within that 2 years, then they can apply to obtain an advanced certification, and they will get another year of eligibility. So then they could have up to 3 years to finish the initial as long as they finish the initial one within 2 years, they can have an additional year to finish the advanced one, which can only help them get into, a better paying career. There are a lot of guidelines and rules they need to follow. We are a equal opportunity agency, so therefore we don't discriminate based on race, color, ethnicity, religion, background, gender identity, anything like that. We also don't allow our students to discriminate against any of that. So if any of that was to start to occur, there could be disciplinary actions taken that, if they don't stop, could ultimately lead to dismissal from the program. So there are expectations placed on them in that nature, because they are living on campus. We do have a multicultural atmosphere, and they will be living, with people that are different than them, going to classes with people that are different than them, eating lunch with people that are different than them. So that also helps them build social skills for going out into the workforce. Our campuses are also 0 tolerance for drugs, alcohol, or weapons. And so that could be a way that if they got into any of that, unfortunately, that could impact their eligibility for the program. So we just like to make sure, they know that. Another thing that we always like to make sure and tell people, even if they have a high school diploma already, everyone that comes into the program has to take the TABE test, because we want to see where they are on their math and reading skills, so that if they manage to graduate high school, but they're a little weak in one of those areas, we can wrap those services around them and help them enhance their math and reading skills while they're working on their career training, so that they learn their career training better and they come out on the other end graduating with better skills to, carry out their career with. So we do have those services available as well. I've talked a lot. I've spit out a lot of information.
Let's pause for questions. I've got a
Yes.
couple, but any who wants to go first, or who has questions right now?
Do y'all still work with the military? I used to be the station commander here years ago, and we used to recruit Job Corps. We would ask us to come up every so often, and would always every now and then we'd get a young person that was skilled, ready to want to serve their country. They'd go.
Absolutely. I actually have some students that I'm working with right now in their application process that are specifically wanting to enter the military afterwards. We have career transition specialists that work with the students as they get closer to their certifications and graduation that help them figure out what they want to do next, whether that's connect them with companies to get into careers, connect them with colleges to go on and get a college degree on top of that certification. You know, maybe they're in a situation where they've got to work while they go to college. And so this helps them in a quicker, shorter time span for free, get that job training so that they can work while they go, you know, for advanced training in college, or it's a good preparation to get those high school skills and some basic like firefighting or forestry skills, which would, or welding or auto mechanics or anything like that would be usable in the military. And so absolutely, yes, we still work with the military. We have career transition specialists that can help with that connection. It's a good question. Thank you. Anybody else?
Anybody online have a question?
And as I said, I will email out. I have several brochures that I have electronic copies of. I will email those out to everybody. I also am happy to come and speak at career fairs, resource fairs, to high school classes, small classes, big groups. You know, if you run a social service type agency and you have classes of people that you're, you know, working with and you want me to come speak to that class because you think this would be a good opportunity for them or their children, I'll be happy to do that. Just reach out to me and I'll make sure that through email you have my contact information. But what other questions do you have?
You did say, just in case, I want to reiterate that you get this covered. You had said that you was going to cover disqualifications of law violations.
Yes, thank you. Good question.
Just
So
curious.
good. We do have to run a background check on them. Just because something shows up on the background check does not mean they're automatically not eligible. There are a few things that would mean they weren't automatically eligible, and that is if they have a felony murder, felony rape or sexual assault, or felony child abuse or neglect. Those are going to be no-goes. Then anything other than that, we would look at the situation, make sure that they're not on probation, make sure that they don't have any open court dates or community service they have to finish for the courts or anything like that, and make sure that they do not have over $500 in fines. They've found that if they have over 500, it's hard for them to get that paid appropriately in time. So they would ask them to wait until the fines were paid down below 500. Thank you. I didn't hit back on that.
I
for
was just
that.
curious. Thank you.
No, yes.
Teresa, I was going to ask, so you talked about how long the application process takes. Is there anything in that process that requires somebody submitting anything or coming on site during that time period? Or can they do it all from a distance, like over here in South Central, not having to go to Mammoth Cave?
Right. They can do it all from a distance. We do conduct the application interview through I need to see their face interview. So we can do it by Teams, by FaceTime, by Google Meets, various things like that. If they live, you know, pretty close, I'll drive and meet them. I do go to the Kentucky Career Center in Bowling Green on Thursday afternoons from 1 to 4 every afternoon. So if they wanted to stop by there, they could.
Okay.
If they want to tour the campuses, I can schedule that as well. Some of them want to tour the campuses and see them. We have the two closest campuses to Bowling Green are Great Onyx, as I mentioned, which is on Mammoth Cave property. The other one is Pine Knot, which is about 2.5 hours from here. It is southeast of Somerset. And it does have a few trainings that Great Onyx does not have. It has culinary and it has wildland firefighting, whereas Great Onyx has forestry, but they have fire teams available that you can learn the firefighting. Both places have welding. Pine Knot has auto maintenance and light repair, whereas Great Onyx doesn't. So it's another one of those. We're going to pick the one that's closest to where they live that has the career trade that they want.
Okay.
And I can help organize, you know, a campus tour. If I can't do it, we'll get somebody, on campus to meet them to do it. And I'm actually working with a couple of schools right now that are wanting to bring 10 to 15 students that they know are interested in Job Corps to do a large group tour.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility too. It takes a little bit of logistics to make it happen, but we'll work on it and make it happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then for the housing, do they have a roommate? Do they have several roommates? What are the?
Very good question. There's so many details to get to. They do live in a dorm setting, and typically they are in a room with 4 people total. Sometimes there are larger rooms that have 6 people in them. They do have their own bunk bed. They do have their own locking closet or trunks or cabinets or whatever to keep their personal items in. They would share a bathroom with either like a bathroom between 2 rooms that have 4 people in them, or like a bigger dorm setting. You may have 4 people per room, and 4 rooms down a hallway and 1 big bathroom in the hallway, but they have individual stalls, individual shower stalls, multiple sinks,
Yeah.
that type of
Okay.
thing. And then the cafeteria is, it is cafeteria style food. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner is served 7 days a week, 3 times a day. And then the snack bar is open at various times during the day, where they can take that living allowance and get their snacks or incidentals. And then the campuses, usually every 2 weeks when they get that living allowance, will take anybody that wants a group of them to like a Kroger or a Walmart or a Meijer or something like that, to get those special things that they want to have in their dorm. Like maybe they like to keep ramen noodles on hand, or something like that.
Hot Cheetos.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hot Cheetos. We know Brian's weakness
No,
now.
that's not mine. That's my daughter's. I don't touch that. You don't touch that stuff. That's flammable.
The dorms are not co-ed. Good question. The dorms are not co-ed, guys in one, girls in another. There are a few campuses in the United States that have family living, but that is very few, and there are none in Kentucky. And then we have a few campuses that have non-residential programs. There are some of those in Kentucky, but you would need to live close enough, and your living expenses and all of that is on your own if you live off campus. But let's say you have a child, but you still want to go and you qualify. We don't have childcare on campus, so it'd be like, just like a job. You make your own arrangements, you drive to campus every day, do your training, and then you drive back home at the end of the day. So the training and all of that while you're on campus is still free, but if you live off campus, your living expenses are on your own. We do, like I said, we do have a few programs in Kentucky, or centers in Kentucky, that have the non-residential, but the majority of our campuses are residential. And I don't mean residential as in a negative term. I mean residential as dorms, like you live on college campus.
Right.
Excuse me, they call them residence halls on campuses
Yeah.
now. I don't want to use the
Right, yes, absolutely.
school.
Right.
Back in my day, it was a dorm.
They're no longer freshmen, they're first years.
First years, exactly.
But it's not a question, it's a commentary. We shared with Teresa our recent presentation, the 5 high school in Warren County. And especially for new American students, it's a really opportunities for them. It's a new opportunities, another option for our new American student. And I know that a group of them, one of the group already scheduled a visit at the.
Yes, I'm working with them.
So that, because it's the other.
And with that, yes, we are happy to work with new American students. They will need to be at a point of speaking English to where they can listen to lectures or training in English and understand it. At one point, we had ESL services. Right now, we do not. I'm not saying that won't come back in the future, but right now they would need to be able to speak and understand English enough that they wouldn't have to have an
Was
interpreter.
that a funding issue or a personnel issue?
I have no idea.
was just
By
curious.
the time I got to Job Corps, that was already a not thing.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I know it's the transition happened sometime around COVID, and I don't know, that's all I know. So, sorry about that. I think it is
No, I'm
something
just
that
curious,
they're.
and you just lose, sometimes you lose funding, and
Right,
that's, yeah,
right,
you just
right,
can't help it, right?
Right. So, I know that it's on their radar, especially with the number of international individuals, new Americans. That's the appropriate word to say. I'm trying to get my brain around that word, the new Americans that we have. And I am working on actually getting brochures in different languages. I do have access to one or two of our basic brochures in various languages in electronic form, so I can forward that to you if you need that. I've talked a lot, Brian, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm having glitches with my computer, so.
Okay, do we keep talking?
No. I think we'll keep it open if anybody wants to keep asking questions, but otherwise, I don't believe that April would make sense for us to meet. I'm not gonna be around, but I don't know about anybody else, but that's spring break if we met when we would be scheduled to that first, Thursday in April. So we usually take April, sometimes October to take a break. But I would be very interested to know who wants to present in May. If you've got a topic you want to get in front of the group. Sometimes if we've got enough interest, we can get a panel. We've not done that in a while, but if, let's say there were multiple ESL providers or, something that there's a common theme, we can group that together and let everybody have a little chance to share, make that be the theme of the topic. So anybody right now say, yes, I got it. You put me down for May. Yeah, that usually happens. So. But I think Teresa had stepped up very early on last month to say she wanted to do it. So thank you, Teresa. Let's give Teresa a round of applause, digital hands if you're joining from Zoom. Yeah, so if there's anything else, speak now or forever hold your peace. And Teresa, if you wouldn't mind, since you've gotten the Zoom open, if you'll put your contact info in the chat too, so people could reach out to you. Because again, you offered to come speak to groups and centers and things. And so I think there might be some folks interested in that. So.
Yeah, Job Corps out there, boy, it's a beautiful ride though, when you get up there and you go across the river there, I like that.
Yeah.
Used to fish up there a long time ago.
Teresa,
Yes.
are you connected with the Job Corps in Union County?
I can place individuals at that Job Corps, yes.
And what's the visitation like with family and friends?
Good question. That has to be scheduled. People can't just come and go often on campus. So that would need to be scheduled. And if the individual is a minor, there's actually a form that the parents have to fill out to say, when the student can go off campus, to go with someone for the weekend or various things like that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think what I heard loud and clear is, and what I've kind of learned, I didn't really understand, but I knew it was residential. I knew it was basically like a full scholarship. I mean, to use a post-secondary term, right? But I guess I didn't realize that the learners can kind of go at their own pace. There's still a max, but it's not you didn't do it in a semester, you got a failing grade, or you got to take it over. It's more at their pace. So I do agree that there would be young
Right,
people,
and
young adults that need that.
That brings up one other thing that I failed to mention. If they have had an IEP while they are in school, we can get a copy of that IEP and we can work on making sure that we can provide the same services that they needed.
Yeah, great.
That sometimes can affect which campus they go to, because we want them to go where we can help them, meet those needs the best.
Yeah.
But if they have an IEP, that's not going to limit them. We're just going to get a copy of that from the school and we're going to try to work with them in those same ways.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you in a couple months. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.